Hey, welcome to Mr. G's Weathercast. I'm Mr. G, your host and student meteorologist, and we're going to talk about this upcoming storm that's going to affect the eastern third of the nation on Wednesday and Thursday and into Friday. We're going to cover all the impacts of that storm and the areas that it's going to affect. But right now, let's jump into our map and let's look at our national radar right now and take a look at what's going on. And we see this area here is a huge watch and warning area posted by the National Weather Service. They've already posted winter storm watch for a good chunk of the Midwest and the central part of the nation here, all the way from upstate New York down through the northwestern corner of Pennsylvania. As of right now, I'm sure this will spread east as the storm spreads east. Then we have our Ohio, Akron, Cleveland is all also in that. The southern portion of Michigan. We have Indiana. A winter storm warning is also in effect for northern Indiana as of right now and northern Illinois. North and central Illinois, since the Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and a good chunk of north central Texas and Arkansas. Maybe a little bit of Tennessee and Kentucky is also in that winter storm watch area. So we'll keep an eye on that. And a whole lot it's going to be associated with this storm. The one component this storm is not going to have that the northeaster had last week was a lot of wind, but this one will have a lot of snow, and this one will be a wetter snow. This is not going to be that dry snow that they saw with that storm. This is going to be that a heavier wet snow. So this will be harder to shovel, but it will be more fun to play with, though, that's for sure. But so we see that, and there is we also have this area of convection down here in southeast Texas, the Houston area, and there is some showers and thunderstorms that's associated with this activity. There is a convection outlook, and we're going to talk about how this is going to translate east with this weather system. As you can see, this is kind of an elongated pattern. It's not necessarily a center of circulating low pressure. It's more of a long wave of low pressure. It's called a trough. And there is an upper level low pressure center way up in Canada that is connected to this, but it's way out of view here. So, and then there's another area of precipitation as we have a potent little Alberta clipper across the northern tier of the nation, northern Minnesota and North Dakota. And seeing the effects of this Alberta clipper, that snow is actually pretty light, but the big story with this is going to be the high winds. Earlier there was a blizzard warning, but now that's been downgraded to just a winter storm. And it's not for the fact that there's a lot of snow, but there's a lot of wind blowing the snow around. So there's going to be issues with visibility as that snow is being whipped around by those winds. And there is a little bit of moisture here in the western Montana and parts of Oregon and Idaho. Now, it's been very dry out these parts of the nation, so any little precipitation I'm sure, will appreciate to receive. So there is another little piece of energy, another little potential Alberta clipper that's going to work its way across the northern tier of the nation. And that, in fact, this piece of energy is going to drop more down into North and South Dakota and Nebraska later in the week, and it's going to play a role in our big storm that's in this activity that's going to be that big weather system that's going to be in the central part of the nation. Is going to play a key role in that, of course. So let's go and jump into our first map, which is going to be the GFS, and it's not the right screen. We want the GFS. Alright, where is my GFS? Alright, there is the GFS. I have it started to where it will be the 4th. This is where the storm will be on February 4th, which is your Friday. And this is as it moves to the East Coast. But we want to go back because we want to see it progress across the nation. This is how things look right now. This is that Alberta clipper across the north. This is that other little piece of weather system that is across the Intermountain West. That's going to progress east. You see that now. You see how now, and let's pause it right there. You see how that piece of energy that was in the mountains. You see how it dived south. It dove really south, really fast. It just went down the leeward side of the mountains. Ended up in the Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle area, and Arkansas. Ended up here, and you see that front of that cyclogenesis take place as this area of low pressure gets going. As you can see, our storm, the big thing with this storm is going to be freezing rain and ice. A lot of snow. This is going to produce snow very similar to what that nor'easter did in the Northeast. But the other difference is this is going to affect a much larger area, not just Boston and Rhode Island and the immediate coast. This is going to affect a huge swath of the Midwest and the Great Lakes area. This storm is going to affect. So you see that snow beginning to take shape north of the area of freezing rain. We're going to have that freezing rain in Texas. We're going to see some of that freezing rain in the Dallas area as we come into the 3rd. It's also going to move in southeast Oklahoma, Arkansas, and we're going to see that freezing rain develop. Oh, you see that more. Here is what it was on the 2nd. You see that freezing rain going right across the midsection of freezing rain and ice. You see that sleet going right across the midsection of Illinois, right across the midsection of Indianapolis. You see this is going to affect Indianapolis. This will probably affect Cleveland, Akron, and Dayton, Ohio. Cincinnati is going to hit all of those places. Are going to see that freezing rain before it changes over to snow. It's going to start off as regular rain, switch to freezing rain and ice, and then regular snow before the system moves out. But when it changes to snow, it's going to be a lot of snow. I mean, as much as 20 inches or more in many locations throughout here. As you can see, this band of heavy snow as it's going to make its way. And you can see that band, just like with the last storm, the area where the heaviest snow wasn't that wide, but it is long. And it's stretched all the way from Oklahoma all the way into Canada. So it's going to affect a huge area. A big part of the nation is going to see the effects of this storm. This is where we are on the 3rd. You see that freezing rain is very pronounced there that the GFS is saying that we're going to see. You see that the rain as well. We're going to see thunderstorms out of this. There is also the possibility of a few isolated tornadoes because there is just enough shear coming in off the Gulf of Mexico that we could see some possibility of a tornado or two. And we're going to take a look at that on the maps as well as we see that potential and see how that is going to develop. And here is our storm as it moves off the coast. It moves offshore on the 5th. So this is where it will be on your Saturday. And we'll have that northwest wind, again, that northwest flow behind it. And it's going to bring in the next Alberta Clipper. That's going to affect the northern tier of the nation. And then we'll have a series of southern stream storms that develop and move along the southeast coast. We'll bring periodic rounds of showers, maybe some thunderstorms down around Georgia and South Carolina and Florida. Could see those thunderstorms and showers as we go into the next couple of weeks, at least according to the GFS. The period of southern stream storms, right? And then a period of Alberta Clippers across the north. They're not really merging together. They're not really fusing together. So they're kind of remaining separate and moving off the shore, off the East Coast. Pretty much, they're not really deepening. It's not going to be outside of this storm on this week. Is the future. The next couple of weeks look pretty quiet as far as any major storms. So we will have some rainmakers down along the southeast, that's for sure, and periodic rounds of showers and thunderstorms. Let's look at our next map. Our next map is going to be talk about the snowfall totals that we expect from this storm. And as you can see, that snow is going to extend all the way from northern Illinois, southeastern Iowa, and all through Missouri, all the way down into Tennessee and Kentucky, West Virginia. Those states won't see this at least through the 4th, and this is what it will look like by the 4th. It was pretty much by then it's going to be pulling on out of here as we get into the 5th. This is so basically from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you're going to be dealing with the storm. So this is not that it's going to be particularly. It's going to be heavy snow, but it's going to be extended out over a couple of days as well. So it's going to be a long duration. And the important thing about this storm is that it's not a steep storm, so it's not a vertical storm. It's more elongated because it's kind of like the front is more kind of a slope to it. So it's going to have that varying temperature profile from top to bottom. So you'll have that. This is why you're seeing that ice and freezing rain, because you're seeing snow, then a warm layer, a warm bulb going there. There is a warm layer, and then it melts, the snow turns to rain, but then it's frozen, it's freezing again. It's below 32 when it gets down to the surface, and that frozen ground, when that rain hits the surface, everything freezes on contact. It refreezes on the ground, so you get that freezing rain. And in the model, the GFS is painting some pretty interesting ice and freezing rain accumulation soon. We're going to take a look at that. But this is what we're looking at for snow, and you can see parts of Ohio, we're looking at up to 16 inches of snow, as well as in Pennsylvania and New York. We see that snow again. Some areas could see 20 inches or more. As you can see, it's painting. There is a little bit heavier snow as you get into Missouri. As you can see in Missouri, you can see some 20 inches plus inches of snow. And then you can see as much as 7-8 inches of snow as far south as Dallas could see that snow. And it's snow all the way down to El Paso, Texas actually could see 2 or 3 inches of snow out of this. And it's going to bring a wide wath of at least a foot of snow, up to 20 inches of snow across a big part of the Great Lakes area and the Midwest could see a lot of snow. This is our mid latitude, a really strong mid latitude. You see, it's very elongated because this is just a really deep trough of low pressure. There's not going to be a whole lot of winds to this, so that's what that looks like. So let's move on to our next map, and it is going to tell us about the freezing rain. This is what we expect for freezing rain. As you can see, that freezing rain is going to hit mainly the southern half of Arkansas, the southeastern corner of Oklahoma, North Texas can see that freezing rain, and then all the way through southern Indiana, southern Ohio, through all the way through Pennsylvania, southern New York. New York's maybe as you can see, it just barely glances Long Island, but you can see it goes through Connecticut and into Massachusetts. Boston might see some of that freezing rain on your Friday. So this is how much that the GFS is painting for freezing rain. It says that we're going to see over an inch of freezing rain, as much as 1.5 inches of freezing rain. I kind of doubt that it's going to be that much. I think the GFS is kind of overplaying its hand on that. It's overperforming. So I don't think, maybe 1/2 inch at the most. I think it's a reasonable bet. It really depends on how long that layer of that warm bulb is centered over these areas where we can see that freezing rain, because it's kind of like, if I can show you what that angle would look like, it's kind of a slant to it instead of a steep vertical stack like you would have where you can see that rain. and you get that dynamic cooling where the heavy snow cools the atmosphere from top to bottom, and it's cold enough to be snow from the high up in the clouds down to the surface. Eventually, that will win out because that heavy snow will overpower that warm nose and suppress it, and you will have snow from the top to bottom. That's part of it. We would actually have higher snow totals if it wasn't for the rounds of freezing rain and sleet initially to start the system, but eventually you'll all be under heavy snow. So that's what the freezing rain looks like. Let's look at what the ice is. This is those little pellets, sleet. This is what the sleet looks like. It says it's going to be as high as almost an inch. Now the sleet, I could kind of well, even then I would give it about 1/4 inch. I would say 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of sleet. I don't really believe that it's going to paint these, especially here in Missouri. No, not in Missouri. I'm sorry, Arkansas and West Tennessee and Kentucky and North Kentucky and Central Ohio, Southern Ohio, and this region here is going to see that freezing rain. Not freezing rain, that ice, and we'll see how much ice that's going to make. So I don't think it's going to be more than a 1/2 inch of ice at the most. That's on the high end. Because that snow is going to be so heavy that it's going to suppress the conditions that create the ice. And this is just a quick look at this is the supercell composite. And what this is a combination of all the helicity, the CAPE, which is convective available potential energy in the atmosphere, those severe weather mesoscale parameters. This is a combination to show what the likelihood. This here is if we see a tornado in this is where it would be down here around New Orleans and Mobile and down in southern Mississippi. Can see that, and maybe until it'll progress east until you'll see it eventually work its way into Alabama, across the panhandle of Florida and South Georgia. These areas eventually on the 4th and 5th could see the potential. It's not that strong. The shear is not that strong, but you do have this southwesterly flow, and you do have a more southeasterly inflow right here. And with that, you get that height, you get that rotation, you get the air changing direction with height. It's kind of like when you watch an aircraft take off and then it changes direction as it's flying. You can see it turning. That's what wind shear does. You have wind at one level of the atmosphere coming one direction, and it's blowing at another direction at a different height. And that air, it creates a spin in the atmosphere. And it could be this region here that we might see that risk of tornadoes or any kind of severe weather, maybe some hail. Definitely some hail possible, maybe a tornado or two. And I don't expect the strongest of tornadoes, but we could see some supercell development. Let's take one more look at this map here as we see, as we can see what is taking place across the nation. And what we have is that this big winter weather, this big winter storm watch in effect that's extending across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 states. It's covering 11 different states across the nation's midsection, right across the belly of the beast. It's going to get affected by this big heavy storm. So that is a quick look at this storm and what it's going to do. My name is Mr. G. You are watching Mr. G's Weathercast. We are here to keep you ahead of the storm and keep you prepared, right? So you know what to do and what to expect. Thank you for watching this program. Also, like the channel, like this video, leave your comments in the comments section. How much snow do you think you're gonna get, or do you live in any of the areas that's affected by the storm? What do you think? What do you think of this storm? And also subscribe to the channel. Okay, like, share, and subscribe. All right, thank you, and I'll be back later this week with another update. Maybe probably not tomorrow because I am a student and I do have homework to do. So I will be doing my homework and schoolwork tomorrow night, so we won't have a video. But I will come with another video on Wednesday once the storm gets underway and it starts to evolve a little bit and we see what's going on. All right, thank you for watching this video. Have a good night.